Hi guys, this is the next episode of Life After Trauma, my vlog, and today we're going to be talking about affect regulation. It's something I'm pretty unfamiliar with, but in my research I found it very interesting and potent to this topic. So affect regulation it kind of deals with people vacillating between extreme emotions in the wake of trauma, and that can be immediately, that can be later, that can be a learned habit from early on trauma that you just live your whole life that way. But it's kind of this idea of ambivalence, like you are either numb or you're feeling things so intensely, and just like this continuum is just like back and forth and back and forth and up and down and up and down, and that sounds very difficult to me. And a bit of this is people going from numbing to hyperarousal, people going from a deadness to a confrontation with these desires that they have. And it's also referred to as emotional dysregulation, just because it's not necessarily somebody not regulating, it's just they don't know how to regulate. And so they're regulating it wrong, and not wrong, but poorly, I guess I would say. And these individuals that suffer from this are more likely to be unable to self-soothe, and they this thought is embedded, or their thought process is embedded with seeing feelings as truth rather than facts as truth, just because all they've ever known is to work off of their feelings because of this trauma that they faced. Something else that's interesting with affect regulation is the idea that an individual is either over controlled or under controlled. And a bit of this we'll get into later is this can show up in compulsions and OCD and addictions and abuses, because an individual doesn't know how to be regulating themselves. And so that self-control aspect is out the window because they have this learned behavior of, okay, this bad thing's going to happen and I'm going to deaden myself to how it makes me feel, or I'm going to lead by my emotions and just feel so intensely this brutal pain. So an individual in this case is likely going to be very reactive in their day-to-day life. Things that should or seem to affect somebody will affect them. Things that seem to not impact someone may, because they're so deeply rooted in their emotions as truth. And that would be, I think, it'd be a different reality to live in for sure, just because it's an individual facing all of these trials and not having the ability to do their own not having the ability on their own to make themselves feel better, to counteract sadness, to see sadness and to work against it, but rather letting that sadness sit and fester and maybe potentially turn into self-pity and just isolating as a mechanism of coping. It'd be a very difficult life to live. And this is another episode of the effect of trauma later in life. And I hope that you look at this as it is sad, but it's somebody's reality, and treat it with that respect that someone's really going through this somewhere. And yeah, see you guys next episode.